The conservatory reading room rests beside a winter garden beneath a broad glass roof. Evening has cooled the panes, and a faint hush of ventilation moves through the high room. Ferns gather in shadow near the stone walls. Brass lamps cast quiet circles over leather chairs and long wooden tables, while the last light of the sky remains above the glass. The Slow Room. Episode 16, The Conservatory Reading Room. Enter slowly, with nothing to finish and nowhere else to be. The reading room is already prepared for rest. Books are shelved, lamps are lit, chairs are waiting, and the winter garden is quiet beyond the tall windows. You may sit near the light or move through the room at an unhurried pace. No page needs to be read. The entrance is a tall wooden door with a pane of frosted glass set near the top. Its handle is cool brass, polished by years of ordinary use. When you open it, the room receives you with warm air, the faint scent of leather, and the dry, comforting smell of paper. The door closes softly behind you. The floor is made of dark boards that reflect the lamps in long, muted shapes. A narrow runner leads toward the center of the room. It is woven in deep green and brown, colors that seem to belong equally to bookshelves and winter leaves. Your imagined steps make almost no sound beneath the slow ventilation hum. Above you, the glass ceiling rises in a broad arch supported by dark metal ribs. Each pane holds a slightly different shade of evening. Near the edges, the sky is blue-gray. Directly overhead, the glass carries a faint silver brightness. The room is enclosed, but the sky remains close enough to be felt. Along the left wall, tall shelves extend nearly to the roof. They are filled with books of different heights and colors. Some spines are dark leather, some cloth, some faded paper. The shelves do not look crowded. There is a quiet interval between many of the volumes, enough space for the eye to rest. To the right, the conservatory opens toward the winter garden through a row of high windows. The glass is clear, though softened by the cool air outside. Beyond it, pale ferns and bare stems gather in planters. Their shapes are still, and the garden seems to continue the reading room's silence in another form. The nearest brass lamp stands on a round table beside a leather chair. Its shade is cream-colored and slightly worn at the lower edge. The light beneath it is warm without being bright. It illuminates a closed book, a wooden pencil, and a small dish holding a few paper clips, all resting exactly where they have been left. The leather chair is deep and broad, with curved arms and a back high enough to support the head. Its surface has softened into a muted brown. Along one arm, the leather shows a pale line where many hands have rested. The chair does not ask you to sit upright. It offers a shape in which the body can loosen. You walk toward the chair. The air feels warmer near the lamp, carrying the gentle scent of the leather and the faint mineral coolness of the glass above. Somewhere behind the bookshelves, a ventilation grate releases a quiet stream of air. It is steady enough to become part of the room without calling attention to itself. The book on the round table is closed, its cover dark green with a narrow band of gold along the spine. A ribbon marker rests between its pages, though you cannot see where. The book is not waiting for a task. It is simply part of the lamp's small circle, one calm object among several. You sit in the leather chair and let it receive your weight. The cushion gives slightly beneath you. The arms curve around your sides without holding tightly. The back supports the shoulders and neck. There is no need to arrange yourself perfectly. The chair was made for long, quiet pauses, and it knows how to be patient. From this chair, the conservatory seems larger than it did from the doorway. The ceiling extends over rows of tables. The shelves rise into soft shadow. High windows reveal the winter garden in narrow sections. Brass lamps make separate islands of warmth, leaving the spaces between them dim and peaceful. The ventilation hum travels gently overhead. It is not a mechanical interruption. It is the sound of air moving through a large, cared-for room, keeping the temperature even around the books and plants. The hum begins, continues, and fades at the edge of hearing, like a low tone that does not require listening. The winter garden beyond the windows is arranged in long stone beds. Ferns grow close to the earth, their fronds layered and delicate. Taller stems rise behind them, bare for the season, carrying small dark joints along their length. The garden is not empty in winter. It is simply quieter in its shapes. Condensation rests along the lower corners of a few panes. Tiny beads of water join, travel a little way, and stop. The glass ceiling holds the coolness outside while the room holds its warmth within. Between the two, the windows become a gentle boundary, clear enough to see through and soft enough to make the garden feel distant. You notice the smell of paper more clearly now. It is dry and faint, mixed with dust, wood polish, and cloth bindings. The smell does not belong to one particular book. It belongs to the whole room, to pages kept together in shelves and drawers, to years of quiet reading that have left the air familiar. The nearest table is made of honey-colored wood, though the lamp makes it appear deeper and warmer. Its surface is marked with fine lines from pens, cups, and ordinary use. A leather blotter lies near the center. Beside it, a glass paperweight holds a small pressed leaf suspended inside, pale against the clear shape. The paperweight is cool and smooth. It has no sharp edge, no complicated design. The leaf inside has been flattened until its veins form a quiet pattern. You do not need to identify the plant. It is enough to see the small preserved shape and the way the lamp turns the glass amber at one side. The reading room is not empty, though no one else needs to appear. There are signs of quiet presence everywhere, a shawl folded over a chair, a cup turned upside down on a tray, a bookmark resting beside a page, a card catalog drawer left slightly open. These things do not suggest unfinished business. They suggest that rest has been allowed to continue. You rise from the chair and walk toward the central tables. The runner beneath your feet changes from green to a faded rust color near the center of the room. The pattern is simple, a line of leaves and small squares. Some colors have softened with time, but the design remains clear enough to guide the eye. At the central table, a reading lamp stands between two empty chairs. Its brass stem bends once before reaching the shade. The base is broad and heavy. The shade directs light downward onto several open pages. The pages are blank from this distance, or perhaps filled with lines too small to read. Either way, they ask nothing. The first chair at the table is leather, darker than the one near the entrance. Its seat has a slight hollow at the center. The second chair is wooden with a woven back, its seat covered by a folded cushion. Both chairs are equally available. You may choose either, or keep walking. The room does not depend on a decision. The open pages lie beneath the lamp, held flat by a small stone at the top corner. A pencil rests across the lower margin. The paper is thick and softly cream-colored. The pages remain open because the book is comfortable in that position, not because anything must be learned from it. You sit in the darker leather chair. Its back is lower than the first, so the high room remains visible above you. The table is close enough to reach, but there is no reason to reach. The open book can stay open. The pencil can stay where it is. The light can fall across the pages without being followed. The page edges hold a faint shadow beneath the lamp. Each sheet rises slightly where the binding curves, then settles near the center. A small fiber catches the light and becomes visible for a moment. Paper is made of many quiet strands, held together in a smooth surface that can carry words without needing to speak. Beyond the table, a tall cabinet holds the card catalogs. It is made of dark walnut with brass handles on dozens of small drawers. The drawers are arranged in neat rows, each one labeled in tiny lettering. Their order is complete, but the room is not asking you to search for anything. The catalog can remain a landscape of small, closed compartments. You walk toward the cabinet. The brass handles catch the lamplight in small points. Some are bright, some darkened, some touched by a faint green patina. The drawers fit closely within the cabinet. Their faces are smooth and quiet. A card catalog is a place where information rests until it is needed, and tonight nothing needs to be found. One drawer is open by less than an inch. A white card is visible inside, its top edge aligned with the wood. You do not pull it farther. The drawer can remain slightly open, as natural as a book left on a table. The room does not require every line to be closed or every object to be perfectly put away. The cabinet stands beneath a high window looking into the winter garden. Fern fronds press close to the glass on the other side, their shapes dark against the last sky. The window frame is painted white, with small chips along the lower sill. The chips are harmless, and the sill is clean. You place your hand on the sill. It is cool and smooth beneath your palm. Outside, the ferns appear larger through the glass, their layered fronds overlapping like soft green fans. A faint damp scent reaches you when the ventilation changes, carrying the garden into the room without opening the window. The garden floor is covered in dark soil and pale gravel. Flat stones make a path between the planters. A shallow stone basin rests near the far wall, holding a little water. The basin reflects the glass roof in a broken gray shape. Even in the winter garden, there are small surfaces made for holding light. You return your attention to the card catalog. The drawers make a low horizon across the wall. Above them, framed botanical prints hang in simple wooden frames. The prints show leaves, stems, seed shapes, and branching lines. They are muted in color, more like careful notes than decorations. One print shows a fern unfurling in stages. The drawing is delicate and precise, with each curve marked in fine ink. You do not need to study it. The image can remain a calm suggestion of time, a shape slowly opening while the room around it stays still. Another print shows the cross-section of a seed, with quiet layers inside. The paper has yellowed slightly at the edges. The frame is dusty only in the upper corners. The conservatory has kept these drawings for years, allowing them to become part of the room's patient atmosphere. You move along the cabinet to a narrow desk built into the wall. It has a hinged writing surface folded down, though no one is using it. A small ink bottle sits in the corner, closed with a cork. Beside it is a stack of blank index cards, their edges perfectly aligned. The desk lamp above the writing surface has a green glass shade. Its light is softer than the brass lamps, tinted slightly by the colored glass. The shade is cool at the top and warm near the bulb. It creates a small green reflection on the polished wood, a quiet circle that does not spread far. You could imagine writing a title on one of the blank cards, but there is no need. The card can remain blank and the ink can remain closed. A blank space is not an omission here. It is simply a place where nothing has to happen yet. The room's high windows show less of the sky now and more of the interior reflection. Lamp circles appear in the glass, floating over the dark garden. The reflections do not hide the ferns completely. They layer the room and garden together, placing warm lamps over cool leaves. You walk toward the far end of the conservatory, where the ceiling lowers slightly above a row of leather chairs. Each chair faces a different window. Their arms are broad, their cushions deep, and their colors range from brown to charcoal to faded green. They look like places where a person can sit long enough for time to loosen. The first chair near the far wall has a folded blanket over its back. The blanket is wool, gray with a narrow cream stripe. It has been folded into a simple rectangle. You do not need to wrap it around yourself. It is enough to see that warmth has been considered in the room's design. The second chair stands beside a low table holding a ceramic cup. The cup is empty and turned upright. Its handle faces outward. A saucer rests beneath it, and a small ring of tea color remains on the inner rim. The cup has been washed enough. The little mark is only part of its history. The third chair faces the winter garden directly. Its leather is almost black in the dimness, though the lamp beside it reveals dark brown along the arms. This chair has the best view of the ferns. You sit there and let the glass become the center of the room. The ferns beyond the window are still. Their fronds overlap in layers, some broad and low, some narrow and rising. Dampness deepens their color. A few droplets rest along the fine edges of the leaves. The garden looks cool and alive without needing movement to prove it. Near the fern beds, the ventilation outlet releases a quieter stream of air. It passes through the room and leaves a faint change along the window. The glass clears in one place, then gathers a soft haze in another. The room breathes in a slow, almost invisible way. The chair creaks once when you settle more deeply. The sound is low and brief. After it, the leather becomes still again. You can feel the chair beneath the imagined body, its weight carried by 4 sturdy legs and a frame that has learned the shape of rest. The low table beside you holds a book with its cover open and its pages turned face down. A leather strap lies loose around it, no longer fastened. The book is not important because of what it contains. It is restful because of its shape, its weight, and the way the lamp makes the paper look warm. You turn the book upright only in imagination, revealing a title that remains too soft to read. The letters are dark and evenly spaced. They do not form a command. They are simply marks on a cover, a quiet surface beneath the hand. The book's leather binding has small creases near the spine. Its corners are rounded from use. A faint line of dust rests along the top edge. Dust here is not a warning. It is the natural trace of time settling on objects that are allowed to remain in place. The glass roof above the chair has turned darker. One by one, the panes lose the last color of the sky. The metal ribs become clear against the glass, forming a broad pattern of arches and rectangles. The structure is strong but not imposing. It holds the night above the garden and the reading room below. You look upward without needing to raise your head far. The ceiling is too high to see every pane at once. The lamps below reflect in some sections, while other panes show only darkness. The room feels sheltered beneath this quiet geometry, held between the indoor warmth and the cool night sky. The nearest brass lamp has a small pull chain. It hangs from the shade, ending in a round wooden bead. The chain is still. The lamp needs no adjustment. Its circle of light reaches the chair, the low table, and the lower edge of the window, then fades into shadow. At the center of the room, another lamp stands on a long table. Its brass stem is slender, and its shade is taller than the others. The light beneath it touches an atlas, a stack of folded reading glasses, and a wooden ruler. These objects remain arranged for quiet use, though no use is required tonight. The atlas is large and closed. Its cover is blue cloth with a worn red label. A ribbon extends from the bottom edge and rests against the table. The folded glasses lie on top of it, their lenses catching 2 tiny points of light. The room contains many invitations to attention, and all of them can remain unopened. You walk to the long table and rest your fingertips on the atlas cover. The cloth is slightly rough, with a weave that can be felt beneath the skin. The book is cool away from the lamp and warmer near the edge of the light. It feels substantial, but it does not ask to be lifted. Beside the atlas, a narrow wooden tray holds several pencils sharpened to different lengths. Their painted surfaces are muted red, green, and black. The points are fine, but the pencils are not active. They lie together in the tray, quiet tools among quiet books. The long table has a row of small drawers beneath it. Each drawer has a brass pole. One contains blank paper, one contains spare lamp wicks, and another holds old reading cards. You do not need to open any of them. The closed drawers make the table feel complete, with space for unseen things that can remain safely stored. You return to the leather chair by the winter garden. The path through the room has become familiar: shelves, lamps, catalog, desk, windows, tables, ferns. Familiarity makes the room easier to inhabit. There is no need to remember the order. The details are close enough to find whenever attention touches them. The winter garden has a stone bench beneath the tallest window. A cushion rests on it, covered in dark green fabric. The bench faces inward toward the fern beds. You open the connecting door in imagination and step into the garden, where the air is cooler and carries the damp scent of soil. The connecting door is made of glass and wood, with a brass handle on both sides. When it opens, the ventilation hum becomes more distant. The reading room remains warm behind you. Ahead, the winter garden holds its own quiet temperature, cool enough to sharpen the scent of leaves and stone. The garden path is made from pale gravel set between flat slabs of slate. The slate is dark with moisture. The gravel shifts softly beneath each step, while the reading room's wooden floor remains visible through the open door. The two surfaces meet at the threshold without a harsh line. You walk between long beds of ferns. Their fronds rise near your shoulders in places, creating a soft green passage. Other beds remain low, revealing the stone walls and high windows behind them. The leaves are layered but not crowded. Each plant has enough space for air and shadow. The dampness in the garden is gentle. It gathers on the leaves, darkens the soil, and leaves a clean scent near the stone edges. There is no rain falling, only the quiet memory of water. A narrow pipe along the wall carries a faint murmur somewhere below the floor. At the center of the garden stands a square basin filled with rainwater. Its surface is almost still. The glass roof reflects above it as a pale grid, broken when a drop falls from a high beam. The drop makes a small ring, which widens and disappears. You sit on the stone bench. It is cool beneath you, but the cushion gives a little warmth. From here, the reading room appears through the glass door as a landscape of amber circles. The leather chairs are dark shapes. The book tables are narrow bands of wood. The shelves rise behind everything like a quiet wall. The conservatory looks different from the winter garden. Its lamps seem lower and warmer. The high ceiling appears more open. The books have become rows of color and shadow rather than individual volumes. You do not need to read any spine. The room can be appreciated as a calm arrangement of light and material. Above the garden, the glass roof shows the first clear stars only as faint points between the reflections. The sky is deep now, but the lamps soften it. The room and garden share the same ceiling, one side warm and one side cool, both resting beneath the night. You place one hand on the stone bench beside you. Its surface is slightly grainy, with a shallow line running along the edge. The line is filled with a little dark moss. The moss has found a narrow place to live, and the garden has left it undisturbed. Near the bench, a low fern spreads its fronds over the gravel. Some leaves are curled at the tips. Others lie open and flat. The plant does not look arranged for display. It looks comfortable in its own growth, held by soil, water, and the cool air beneath the roof. The garden contains no bright color tonight. Green, gray, black, brown, and the pale cream of reflected light are enough. The reading room adds amber and dark red through the glass. Together, the colors create a quiet palette that does not need to be named. You remain on the bench until the cool air feels familiar. The body is not being asked to stay. You are simply letting the garden's slower temperature become part of the setting. Behind you, the connecting door remains open. The warm reading room waits without calling. When you stand, the fern fronds brush the air near your shoulders but do not touch. The path curves around the basin and returns to the door. A small brass lamp hangs above the garden entrance, its light less bright than the reading lamps but enough to show the gravel. You cross the garden slowly. The basin remains to one side, reflecting the roof. The ferns remain to the other, their shadows layered across the stone beds. The path has no turn that could be confusing. It simply brings you back to the open door and the warmer air beyond it. Inside, the ventilation hum becomes clearer again. The air feels dry against the hands after the damp garden. The leather chairs hold their deep shapes. The brass lamps remain in their circles. The room has not changed while you were away, and that steadiness is comforting. You return to the chair near the winter garden and sit. A faint mark of moisture remains on the lower edge of the glass door, where the garden air met the room's warmth. It will fade gradually. Nothing needs to be wiped away. The room can keep a small trace of the crossing. On the nearest table, a book has been left open to a page with a broad margin. The writing is small and orderly, but the words are not clear enough to read from the chair. The page remains open and unread, exactly as the room's quiet arrangement intends. You let your eyes rest on the shape of the page rather than its meaning. Lines begin, continue, and end. The margins hold white space. A small shadow falls across the lower corner from the lamp. The page is a calm surface, and you can allow it to remain only a surface. The open book is bound in soft brown leather. Its cover lies flat beside the pages, showing a faint impressed pattern of leaves. The pattern is almost gone from years of touch. The leather has become smooth in the places where hands once held it, and rougher near the edges. You imagine placing a bookmark between the pages, but the ribbon is already there. It is a faded blue strip, lying near the middle of the book. The ribbon does not mark a demand to return. It simply rests in the binding, giving the book a small line of color. The page edges are uneven in the most natural way. A few are slightly darker than others. One corner has been turned down and later smoothed flat. The paper has been handled, but not harmed. It carries the gentle evidence of being part of a life that included pauses. You do not need to know what the book is about. It may be a history, a collection of observations, a quiet novel, or a volume of letters. Its subject can remain unnamed. The comfort comes from the open pages, the lamp, the chair, and the permission to leave the words unread. Across the room, a high lamp dims slightly, then steadies. Perhaps its bulb is old. Perhaps the electrical current has shifted. The change is small enough to feel natural. A circle of light narrows around a table, while the surrounding shelves become a little softer. The lamp nearest the catalog cabinet gives another quiet change. Its brass base remains bright, but the light on the drawer labels fades at the edges. The catalog does not become less complete. It simply becomes less visible, and visibility is not the same as importance. You look at the rows of drawers one last time before letting them blur. Hundreds of small compartments rest within the walnut cabinet. Each one could hold a card, a title, a name, a subject, a place. None of them needs to be opened. The whole cabinet can become one calm, dark shape beneath the window. The botanical prints above the cabinet are now mostly shadow. Their pale paper catches a little light, enough to show the outlines of leaves and stems. The drawings do not need color to remain beautiful. Their lines are quiet, patient, and clear. The ventilation hum continues through the ceiling. It passes behind the shelves, beneath the high windows, and along the roofline. The sound seems to gather the separate areas of the room into one atmosphere. Reading table, catalog, leather chairs, and winter garden all belong to the same steady air. At the far end, a wall clock hangs above a low shelf. Its face is cream-colored, its hands dark, its frame made of simple wood. The hands move without a noticeable sound. You do not need to check the time. The room is outside ordinary urgency, and the clock can continue its quiet circle. The low shelf beneath the clock holds folded maps, a small globe, and a ceramic bowl filled with smooth stones. The globe is turned so that no particular place faces the room. The maps are rolled and tied. The stones rest together in the bowl, each one rounded by water or time. You touch one stone in imagination. It is cool, oval, and pale gray with a darker line through the middle. Its weight is reassuringly ordinary. The room contains large shelves and high windows, but this small stone gives the hand something simple to know. The lamps are beginning to dim one by one. Not all at once, and not in a way that makes the room suddenly dark. The lamp by the catalog fades first, leaving the brass handles in shadow. The central table remains bright. The leather chairs keep their soft outlines. When another lamp dims, the winter garden becomes clearer through the windows. The ferns are now shapes against the glass, and the reflections of the room are less numerous. Cool garden darkness and warm room light begin to balance each other. You remain in the chair with the open book nearby. Its pages receive the central lamp's light. The words are still unread. The page does not become impatient. It is content to be open, to hold its lines, and to wait without making waiting feel like a task. The leather chair supports the back and shoulders. Its arms are beneath the hands. Its cushion is warm from your imagined presence. The body can grow heavier in the chair, as though the frame has become part of the room's architecture, steady beneath the glass roof. The table lamp has a small brass switch near its base. You do not need to touch it. The light can dim on its own, in the calm order of the conservatory. A lamp is not a promise to remain bright all night. It can offer warmth for a while, then allow the room to enter deeper quiet. Outside, the winter garden holds the faint outline of the basin. The ferns are nearly indistinguishable from one another. The high glass roof has become a dark ceiling with a few soft reflections. The room remains sheltered, and the garden remains close. You hear a small change in the ventilation, a low release of air followed by stillness. Then the hum returns. The sound is gentle enough to be mistaken for distant wind. It travels through the room without disturbing the books, the lamps, the chairs, or the pages. The final bright lamp near the central table stays lit longer than the others. It makes the open book the clearest object in the room. The page is pale, the letters dark, the ribbon blue, the leather cover brown. This small arrangement can remain visible while everything else softens. You lean slightly toward the book without reading. The page has a calm rhythm of lines and spaces. One paragraph ends near the lower half, leaving a quiet margin below. The page seems to invite rest rather than attention, as if reading and sleeping can meet without either one needing to begin. The table beneath the book is warm from the lamp. Its wood has a small knot near the edge, shaped like a closed eye. The knot is darker than the surrounding grain. It does not interrupt the surface. It gives the table a quiet point at which the eye can pause. You can let the open book become less distinct. First the words soften, then the margins, then the page edges. The ribbon remains as a faint line of blue. The lamp remains as a warm glow. The chair remains as support. The room remains around all of it. The glass ceiling is nearly invisible now, but you can still feel its height. Above the room, the night is broad and cool. The metal ribs hold their quiet arcs. The ventilation moves beneath them. Below, the books and plants rest in the shared air. The card catalog cabinet is only a dark rectangle. The brass handles no longer catch the light. The botanical prints are pale shadows. The leather chairs are soft silhouettes. The conservatory has not lost its contents. It has simply allowed them to withdraw from active attention. One final lamp beside the far leather chair dims. The chair remains visible through the central light, its curved arm and high back forming a comfortable outline. The folded blanket is a pale stripe over the back. Nothing needs to be picked up or arranged. The winter garden is quiet beyond the glass. The damp ferns rest beneath the roof. The basin holds darkness instead of reflection. The slate path is a faint band between the beds. The garden has become a place of shapes and cool scent, close enough to accompany the room without drawing you outward. You notice the leather scent again, deeper now that the lamps are low. It mingles with paper and dry wood. The room's materials are simple and lasting, leather softened by use, paper held in books, brass warmed by light, glass cooled by night, stone receiving the garden's dampness. The open pages remain beside you. They are not waiting for a conclusion. They can stay open through the night, their words resting in lines that no one needs to follow. A book can offer companionship without conversation, and a room can offer shelter without asking anything in return. You may let the chair become the whole setting for a while. The cushion beneath you. The leather arm beneath one hand. The lamp's warmth near the face. The quiet hum above. The dark window ahead. This is enough. The larger room can wait at the edge of thought. The ventilation hum rises and falls almost imperceptibly. Its rhythm is not regular enough to count, and that makes it easier to release. Air moves through the conservatory, through the reading room, around the shelves and chairs, keeping the space calm while the night deepens. The central lamp begins to fade. The page loses its sharpest detail. The ribbon becomes a small blue shadow. The leather cover becomes dark. The open book is still there, still unread, still gently held by the table and the room. The last light rests along the lower edge of the page. It turns the paper a warm cream color, then softens toward gray. The page does not close. It remains open to whatever lines are there, with no need to continue and no need to return. Around you, the conservatory reading room settles into its deepest quiet. Shelves rise into the darkness. The card catalogs keep their small drawers. The ferns rest beyond the glass. Leather chairs hold their shapes. The high windows hold the night. The slow ventilation hum continues beneath it all. You can release the names of things now. Book, chair, lamp, fern, table, window, cabinet. Let them become textures and quiet forms. Leather beneath the hand. Paper beneath the light. Damp green beyond the glass. Brass cooling in the dark. The room does not need to be remembered perfectly. It is enough to know that it exists in a gentle arrangement, a chair near a window, a book left open, lamps dimming without urgency, and a garden resting beneath the glass roof. The open book remains the last clear object. Its pages lie flat. Its ribbon rests between them. The lamp above it is very low. No words are required. The book may stay open and unread for as long as the room remains quiet. You can drift away from the table now, without standing. The chair supports you. The floor supports the chair. The conservatory supports the room. The glass roof holds the night above the garden. Every layer is steady enough to let attention grow soft. The winter garden breathes its damp, green scent through the quiet air. The ferns remain close to the earth. The basin remains still. The slate path remains between the beds. Nothing in the garden needs to be prepared for morning yet. The final lamp may fade whenever it is ready. When it does, the open pages will remain in the dark, held by the table and the room. Darkness does not erase them. It only lets them rest beyond sight, just as sleep lets the mind rest beyond effort. Near the rear of the reading room, beyond the last tall shelf, there is a narrow archive alcove with a lower ceiling and softer light. You enter it slowly in imagination. The walls are lined with shallow drawers, each faced with pale wood and a small brass label. The alcove feels warmer than the main room, perhaps because the shelves block the coolness from the glass roof. The air smells of linen, paper, and old cedar. A long counter runs beneath the drawers. On it are several bundles tied with cotton ribbon, a magnifying glass, and a shallow tray of blank labels. The bundles are wrapped in paper that has become the color of warm cream. Their edges are straight and their knots are loose enough to undo, though nothing needs to be opened. They rest as quietly as stones arranged beside a path. A small lamp hangs over the counter from a curved arm. Its shade is brass, dark at the top and bright along the lower rim. The light makes a soft oval across the paper bundles. Beyond that oval, the drawers fade into shadow. The alcove does not need full light. It is comfortable with one visible place and many places left gently unseen. You run your fingers over the counter in imagination. The wood is smooth near the edge and slightly rough farther back. There is a small indentation where a cup may have rested many times. The mark is shallow and harmless. It gives the counter a sense of having supported ordinary evenings, quiet sorting, and long periods when no one needed to speak. At the far end of the alcove, a narrow shelf holds books too small for the main cases. Their covers are faded blue, gray, and brown. Some have cloth spines, some paper labels, and some no labels at all. They stand together without needing to be identified. A book can belong in a room simply because it has a place on a shelf and has been allowed to rest there. One small volume lies flat on the shelf, its pages slightly open near the center. The pages have a soft waviness from age and changes in air. No line is clear enough to read. The book's openness feels familiar, like the larger book near the lamp. There are many ways to leave a page waiting, and none of them create pressure. The ventilation hum reaches the alcove as a soft vibration in the wooden counter. It is quieter here, but still present. The sound travels through walls and shelving, making the whole building feel connected. Even the drawers seem to rest within that moving air. The room is not silent in an empty way. It has a low, continuous life that asks for no attention. Above the small shelf hangs a framed plan of the conservatory. It shows the reading room, the winter garden, the connecting doors, and the long rows of beds. The lines are precise, but the paper is too dim to study. You can see the broad shape of the building and the small garden folded inside it. The map gives the room a sense of gentle completeness. Beside the plan is a wooden ruler with a brass edge. It rests on two small supports, perfectly horizontal. The brass edge catches the lamp, then loses the light as the flame shifts. The ruler once measured paper, shelves, or the spacing between drawers. Tonight it measures nothing. Its usefulness has become stillness. A cloth curtain hangs across a small cupboard beneath the counter. The cloth is dark green and has a narrow stitched border. It moves once when the ventilation passes, then settles against the cupboard door. Behind it may be extra paper, folded cloths, spare ribbons, or empty boxes. The contents can remain private and quiet. A covered cupboard is a restful shape. You remain in the alcove for a while, listening to the room beyond. The main lamps have become softer. The glass ceiling is nearly dark. The winter garden is only a cool presence past the high windows. Somewhere near the central tables, a chair gives a faint settling sound, then becomes still again. The conservatory seems to be arranging itself for a long night. You return to the main room without hurry. The archive drawers remain behind you, closed and orderly. The counter keeps its paper bundles beneath the brass lamp. You do not need to carry any detail out with you. It is enough to know that the alcove exists, a quiet inner room where blank labels, small books, and folded papers can rest undisturbed. The long central table is darker now, but the open atlas remains visible beneath its lamp. Its ribbon has shifted slightly, perhaps from the movement of air. The folded reading glasses are still on top. Their lenses reflect a narrow line of gold. You pass them without touching, letting the table remain a landscape of calm objects. At another table, a stack of paper has been covered by a wooden board. The board is pale and smooth, with a small brass handle in the center. It protects the paper from dust and light. The closed cover gives the table a sense of completion, as though the work below it has been placed safely out of sight until another day. Near the windows, a shallow metal tray holds dried leaves gathered from the winter garden. They are brown, green, and pale gold, arranged loosely rather than pressed into a pattern. Their edges are curled. They are not fragile in a troubling way. They have simply reached a quiet stage, holding their shapes while the garden outside remains damp and green. You sit once more in the leather chair beside the glass door. The chair's arm is warm beneath your hand. The room around you is darker than before, but the darkness is softened by the remaining lamps. The open book rests on the table. Its pages are still unread. The garden beyond the glass is still close, held beneath the same high roof. The lamp above the book lowers its light by another small degree. The page becomes a pale shape rather than a field of lines. The ribbon becomes a darker mark. The table's wood blends into the surrounding shadows. Nothing has been lost. The room is simply giving your attention fewer edges to hold. You may allow the open book to remain beside you while your thoughts become less specific. It can hold its pages without you. The chair can hold your body without you arranging it. The glass can hold the night outside. The shelves can hold their books. Every object has a place, and each place remains steady while you move toward sleep. The final clear detail may be the faint sheen of leather along the chair arm, or the soft cream of the unread page, or the dark green of a fern beyond the glass. Any one of these is enough. You do not need to choose. Let the room choose for you, settling around you in warm air, low light, paper, and quiet. The brass lamps are quiet now. The shelves are quiet. The card drawers are quiet. The leather chairs are quiet. The glass roof is quiet above the winter garden. The ventilation hum remains low and even, a soft reminder that the room is still gently breathing. Let yourself become as unhurried as the unread page. There is no need to arrive at the end of a thought. Thoughts can remain open, like the book. They can lose their sharp edges beneath the low light and settle into the larger quiet. The conservatory reading room will remain through the night. The garden will remain behind its glass. The books will remain on their shelves. The chairs will remain ready. Nothing is being taken away. You are simply moving farther into rest while the room keeps its calm arrangement. The last clear sensation is the support beneath you and the soft darkness before you. The leather is warm. The air is steady. The open book rests nearby. Somewhere beyond the glass, the ferns hold their damp green stillness. You do not have to read the page. You do not have to remember the room. You do not have to follow the ventilation hum. Let everything continue without supervision. The lamps have dimmed. The night has deepened. The book remains open and unread. Rest now in the quiet beneath the glass roof, with paper, leather, fern damp, and soft air around you. The reading room is safe, warm, and still. The pages can remain open. The night can remain long. Sleep can arrive in its own time. Good night. This has been The Slow Room.